Hi all, Rick here with a personnel file. Been a while since I've done one of these, so as a reminder, I'll use the shows as the main canon source, with the addition of beta content where it doesn't contradict. However, some of these additions are from alternate timelines or just cover larger implications, so I'll mark them as they arise. Now, let's get started with the career and life of Beverly Crusher. Beverly Cheryl Howard was born to Paul and Isabel Howard on October the 13th, 2324, on Copernicus City on Luna, Earth's moon. When she was young, her parents were on their way to conduct research when their shuttle was intercepted and destroyed by an Uberak warship. After losing her parents, she travelled with her grandmother, Felisa, until they arrived at Avada 3. In 2339, a disaster occurred there when a vessel crashed from a subjugated Romulan world and all aboard were diseased and in dire need of aid. Felisa was able to help out, despite the colony having few medical supplies. Here, Felisa used naturally occurring herbs and other flora to create poultices, a feat which inspired Beverly to pursue a career in understanding medicine. Eventually, the Howards moved to Caldos for Felisa to retire to. However, Beverly left to join Starfleet Academy, studying medical and sciences there. While initially joining the Academy in 2342, her chosen path of continuing down the medical fields would extend her tutelage until 2350. Among her specialties in medicine, she excelled in cybernetics, bioengineering, metagenics, and ethnobotany. While there, she was noted for having a smart mouth and would routinely speak before thinking about the effect her words may have had. In 2344, she met Jack Crusher, who had been serving on the USS Stargazer at the time along with Jean-Luc Picard. Jack quickly developed an attraction to Beverly, and the two began seeing one another when time permitted, staying in regular contact. In 2348, they made the decision to marry, despite postings often pulling them apart. She served a brief tenure aboard the Stargazer as part of her medical training, but was unable to retain a posting there until her time in Starfleet Medical was complete. That year, she gave birth to Wesley Crusher and returned to Earth. She graduated Starfleet Medical in 2350, an MD and Lieutenant Junior grade, and she was posted on an internship with Dr. Dalen Quace on Delos 4 until 2352. Upon completing this, she was promoted to Lieutenant. In 2353, Jack Crusher was killed under the command of Captain Picard, and he met her at Starbase 32 to convey her to the body and help prepare the funeral. After this, Beverly was offered the Chief Medical Officer position on the USS Hammarskjöld and the position of Lieutenant Commander, but she declined the offer, instead resigning from Starfleet. She operated as a civilian doctor until she returned to Starfleet in 2360 with a renewed drive. Her commission was resumed at the rank of Lieutenant Commander. However, unwilling to allow her career to be pigeonholed by her chosen path, she chose to take the Bridge Officer's Command examination in 2362 and passed, taking on the rank of Commander and opening up her career track to include captaincy if she so desired. When Captain Picard was informed he was going to command the USS Enterprise D, he reached out to her and offered her the role of Chief Medical Officer, despite having mixed feelings about the posting. In 2364, she accepted the position on the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D and travelled to rendezvous with the ship at Farpoint Station. Among her many achievements, she developed a polywater variation cure. In 2365, a surprise offer came as the head of Starfleet Medical stepped down, and she was nominated as the replacement. She accepted the posting and left the Enterprise. However, she would only retain this position for 1 year, returning in 2366. In 2367 and 68, she was the pioneering mind behind the understanding of Borg nanotechnology, the interactions of the hive mind, and de-assimilation procedures, following the Battle of Wolf 359. She was the first non-Trill to conduct a joining surgery. In 2368, she helped develop a modified virus that could disrupt Borg hive mind activity, but denounced its usage. In 2369, Starfleet required her expertise in metagenics to investigate a potential Cardassian weapon on Celtris 3. Later that year, she arranged a conference aboard the Enterprise on subspace morphology to help Dr. Rhaegar's metaphasic shielding project. After his murder, she was relieved of duty after breaking cultural laws around Ferengi funerary rites. In 2370, she assumed command of the Enterprise to evade the Borg renegade vessel and destroyed it using a combination of Rhaegar's metaphasic shields and a solar flare. In 2371, the Enterprise D was shot down by the Duras sisters over Viridian 3, with most of the senior staff. She too was reassigned to the new Enterprise NCC 1701E. It launched in 2372, and after the following shakedown tour, she took part in the Borg incursion to the past in 2373. In 2375, she took part in the Baku incident, disobeying Admiral Doherty's orders to leave the system. In 2378, she was temporarily assigned to the USS Theseus for a year before transferring back to the Enterprise. Maybe. In 2379, she took part of the Romulan offer of friendship at the hands of Praetor Shinzon. And in 2381, she and Captain Picard took shore leave together to Casperia Prime. However, Picard was recalled early for a briefing concerning events which would lead to the Romulan supernova. Beverly took it as a sign that they would not work out as a couple, and later found out that she was pregnant with a son. After an attempt was made on Picard's life, plus the role he was about to step into, she chose not to tell him and instead left Starfleet. She continued practicing medicine as a civilian across numerous colony planets, travelling with the young Jack Crusher Jr., and in 2384 she was contacted by Admiral Janeway, who noted that she seemed to be difficult to find. In 2385, Wesley Crusher finally visited his mother and met a younger brother for the first time, although this may have been their last meeting recorded. Eventually she moved to Earth, London, to educate Jack Crusher, and she joined the Mariposas Organisation, a Doctors Without Borders program that operated with Starfleet backing and support. At this time she told Jack of his father and offered him a chance to arrange a meeting, but he declined. With her record of assisting on several colony worlds and command experience, she was granted captaincy of the SS Elios 12 as part of the Mariposas Organisation around 2398, and she departed on a self-determined humanitarian missions to grant medical aid. Thanks to the minimal crew, often only the two of them, she had to learn multiple stations to operate. Between 2399 and 2401, however, she and Jack came under several attacks of increasing frequency for unknown reasons, causing the pair to believe they were being targeted. This included attacks on Serena Prime, Kafar, and Exoport. In 2401, the Elios was boarded and she sent a distress signal to Admiral Picard, with the following events leading to the Frontier Day crisis. Following this, she rejoined Starfleet Medical and was bumped up to Admiral in rank, so that she could take on the permanent position of Head of Starfleet Medical once more in 2402. In terms of personal interests, she was quite active in the performing arts, enjoying various dancing styles like tap. She also had a love of the theatre, both acting and directing plays in her spare time. She was also an avid reader of both books and player of various holo novels. During her time at the Academy, she studied dance as an extracurricular activity, learning jazz and tap, and earned an award from the St. Louis Academy, earning her a nickname which she worked hard to bury, the Dancing Doctor. Despite the tragedies around her life, she remained composed and compassionate. She saw Wesley's ascension to traveller status as a loss, although knowing he was still out there, and compared it to losing her parents. She remained social and approachable to her crew and colleagues, from those who worked under her to her fellow bridge officers. The only thing that she cared for more was her own sons, whom she was willing to sacrifice a great deal for, placing their education and upbringing ahead of her own career for a time, especially with Jack, where she made the questionable decision to hide him as much as possible to both protect herself, Picard, and him from being targeted. In both instances, when she returned to Starfleet, it was followed by an immediate career growth, as if she was making up for lost time. While she expected professionalism and respect from everyone she worked with, she was quick to let loose her opinion. She openly disagreed with numerous decisions made if they limited her from aiding people, or sometimes simply hindered her search for answers. This seldom brought her into conflict with others, however, as she mostly adhered to the chain of command. She would champion the discoveries of fellow scientists, regardless of the field, but it could be argued that this was intermittent and based on personality. She would often support the underdog, but found ambition and arrogance to be red flags. She would quite often romanticise things she found intriguing, occasionally leading her to overlook flaws a little too much. Overall, she is a deeply compassionate person with a strong moral centre and places a great deal of weight on mutual respect. While she will obey the chain of command, at times she will simply do what she thinks is right if she has no respect for the rules that hinder her, although rare. A few times in her career, we have seen her step away from Starfleet, usually to deal with and distance herself from some emotional event. But whenever she returns, she does so with a burst of momentum and climbs ever higher. She acts as a constant moral core of the crew, often looking past the nuance of matters to see the simple right versus wrong approach. But she's not naive, and knows that there are often no perfect solutions, prioritising the orders and support of those she trusts. 3 Beverly-centric episodes are Sub Rosa, and no. I'd go for ethics, to see her weigh risk factors and a clash of opinions in her field. Attached, for a literal look into her thoughts and baggage. Finally, similar to ethics, I'd pick the high ground, to see her struggle with and how to simply help people. Thanks for watching this breakdown on the career and file of Beverly Crusher. I've been Rick, and until the next one, goodbye.